Today we're going to be reading the story Abraham Makes a New Start. Long ago, in a far-off land called Ur, there lived a man named Abram. He was married to Sarah. Abraham and Sarah were already old, but they had no children. One day Abram heard God speaking to him. "Leave your home," God told him. "You must take a long journey. I'm going to give you a special new land." Abram and Sarah were brave. They believed God and were ready to leave home. So here's a picture of Abraham and Sarah. They believed God and were ready to leave home. They set out, taking with them their servants, their camels, their cattle, and their sheep. Abram had no map for the journey. God told him, "I will show you how to get to the land I promised you. I will make you the father of a great people." So here's Abraham and Sarah, their camel and sheep, ready to set out for the journey. And here we have a map, if you can see it. It says Abraham's travels, and they start out at the land of Ur here and travel through Babylonia, passing the river Tigris, the river Euphrates. They pass through Haran, through Canaan, and they end up down here near Bethel and Hebron. See even a little bit closer. See it a little bit better. Okay. So that's Abraham's kind of his journey to Bethel. After journeying for many months, Abram came at last to the land that God had promised. It was called Canaan. And here's Canaan on the, here's Abraham at the location Canaan on our little Abraham's journey map. In Canaan there were lush green valleys and fast-flowing rivers. "This is the country I told you about," God said to Abram. "I'm giving this land to you, to your children and your grandchildren." Abram had brought with him his nephew. Okay, wait, hold it. Here's a picture here of Abraham, and you can see he's quite excited because God has promised him this land for both him, his children, and his children's children, and so on. His children and his grandchildren. Abram had brought with him his nephew Lot, but Lot kept arguing with Abram. Lot wanted to have all the best land for his own sheep and goats. Tired of all the quarrels, Abram said generously, "All right, Lot, you take the best land." Here's Abraham and his nephew Lot. Now Abram and Sarah settled down to live in their new land. Abram's flocks of sheep grew huge and his herds of camels even larger. Soon he became very rich, but Abram always remembered God's promise. "One day you will have many children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren." Abraham and Sarah there in the tent. By now Sarah was too old to have children. Abram complained to God, "We've been waiting so long for a family. Then one night God told Abram to go outside. Look at the stars in the sky, he said. Abram looked up. Can you count the stars? God asked. Abram shook his head. You will have as many children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren as there are stars in the night sky, said God. And Abram believed God. It was Abram's 99th birthday. To celebrate, God changed Abram's name to Abraham. Not long after, Abraham was sitting in his tent. It was midday and the sun was burning hot. 3 men Abraham had never seen before appeared. Come and sit in the shade, Abram called out. It's cooler here. Please eat with me. Here's Abraham at the tent waving to the visitors to come into the shade with him and sit and eat. And here they are over here. Quick, bake some bread, Abraham told Sarah. Cook a feast. When lunch was ready, they sat down to eat and drink. One of the visitors asked Abraham, Where's Sarah? She's inside the tent, Abraham answered. Next year, Sarah will have a baby. The visitor told him, a baby boy. Abraham and the visitor. That tells him that next year Abraham will have a baby boy. Sarah was listening through the wall of the tent. She just laughed. She heard what the stranger said, but she didn't believe a word of it. I can't possibly have children at my age, Sarah told herself. Why did Sarah laugh? The stranger asked Abraham. Nothing is impossible for God. A picture of Sarah overhearing the stranger saying that she's going to have a baby, and she's just laughing. Sure enough, about a year later, Sarah had a baby boy, just as God promised. Sarah was so happy. God has made me laugh, she said. Everyone who hears this will want to laugh too. So Sarah named her baby Isaac, which means laughter. And here's a picture of her little baby Isaac. If you can see that. And this story is taken from Genesis chapter 12 through 18 and also chapter 21. So thank you so much for joining me here, and have a blessed day or a good night.